Daddy Letters. Season 2. Letter 21. Compatibility Counseling.
Dear son, your mother and I enjoyed having you over for dinner so you could meet the daughter of my friend with the 7 daughters. You may remember the Bible story in the 2nd chapter of Exodus about the priest of Midian, who also had 7 daughters. The priest of Midian's given name was Reuel. Well, I nicknamed my friend Reuel because he also has 7 daughters. He gets a kick out of that, especially since the name Reuel means a friend of God. By the way, I can vouch for him deserving that nickname, because I know him to be a wonderful priest to his 7 daughters and his wife, and especially a friend to God. The Old Testament priest of Midian had to contend with local shepherd men who were a constant threat and harassment to his daughters, and I can imagine him, like my friend, being ever watchful and standing guard over the well-being of his daughters. Providentially, God sent a man to Midian who would help the priest of Midian protect his 7 daughters. Moses fled Egypt and went in exile to Midian, where he won favor with the priest of Midian by stepping in to protect the 7 daughters from local shepherd men who bullied them and tried to drive them away from a well, preventing them watering their father's sheep. Reuel, the priest of Midian, was so impressed with Moses as a man of integrity, strength, and valor that he gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. You will be interested to hear that I spoke to our modern-day priest of Midian a few days after his daughter dined with us, and he reports that his daughter is very taken with you. I told him that you are equally impressed with his daughter. Although there is no role for you to be a Moses for all 7 of his daughters, I hope this one daughter has found her Moses in you, and you have found your Zipporah in her. No pressure, just dreaming through this keyboard. I do urge you to remember she still has not gotten over having her heart torn open by her former fiancé. So the last thing she needs is someone being careless with her heart again. Do no harm, son. So, if you decide you're not interested in pursuing a meaningful relationship with her, please declare it as soon as you know it. But I hope that won't be the case, because you two are so well matched in all the ways that count. You will also be interested to know the priest of Midian told me something else interesting. He said that his daughter senses you might feel as if you're being pushed into a relationship with her by us 4 matchmaking parents. She doesn't want you to give her your attention out of a sense of obligation to the parents, but because you are genuinely interested in her. I wasn't surprised to hear you might be struggling with such a notion because you have always resisted allowing your parents to play matchmaker for you. You don't like us poking around in your romantic affairs, and you feel your dating practices are private and none of our business. I perceive you feel this way because it makes you feel less grown up, less independent, and less in control of your own life, to have parents coaching you on who you should date or marry. Please don't disqualify Reuel's daughter just to put us in our place. It would be horrible for you to dismiss a woman that was made for you, just for the ego satisfaction of choosing a woman without our help. That brings me to what I want you to consider. I want to make an appeal to you to regard our involvement in your date and mate selection as a blessing rather than a curse. Why does it have to threaten your sense of independence just because we recommend women who might be a good fit for you, or indicate when you have one that might not be a good fit? We promised you we would never force our opinion upon you, but we hoped you would welcome us as your compatibility counselors, and be happy to consider our recommendation if we encounter a woman who is potentially a good fit for you. We respect your desire and right to have the final say. We are not trying to arrange your marriage or your dates, but we would like to make compatibility recommendations to you because we know you very well. We raised you, and because of that, we are in a position to have a good idea whether a particular woman is or isn't compatible with you. Son, don't adopt the mind of this culture when it comes to dating and marriage. The enemy loves it when young people exclude their parents in mate selection because he knows the probability of them selecting well is quite low, due to the insanity of infatuation, tyranny of hormones, immaturity of spiritual discernment, limited experience with the opposite sex, and general lack of knowledge of what is important in a long-term relationship. Son, your recent close encounter with Mrs. Inman Graves is an example of what can happen when people fly solo on the flight to romance. The heart is exceedingly deceitful, and sometimes only a third party can detect when a person is relationally veering off course. Your affair of the heart with her, and I pray it was only of the heart, is another reason I am writing this letter. I remain concerned about you and Mrs. Inman Graves. You promised me you have put an end to this close attachment, but I know you can't just immediately switch off such a powerful attraction as the one you two were nursing. At church, I watched her watching you, and there is still a powerful hunger in her eyes for you and yours for her. Both of you are trying hard to hide it, and probably believe you are successful, but you're not. I think it is important for you to know your mutual attraction is noticeable so that you remember to stand guard over your emotions. To encourage you to take this seriously, I remind you of the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife in Genesis 39, verses 6 through 12.
Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And after a time his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. But one day, when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was there in the house, she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house.
Son, I praise you for running out of your sport coat to get out of Mrs. Inman Graves' arms, but I remind you that it is easy to find yourself running right back into her arms, unless you take it as seriously as Joseph did, that such an act is not just an offense against Mr. Graves, who has been a good friend to you, but also a great wickedness against God. Stay the course, son. I really hope you will replace this unwholesome attraction with the wholesome one you have started with Ruel's daughter. Please don't sabotage this new relationship or your soul with an adulterous scandal. Ruel tells me that he and his wife are arranging a dinner at their house for you with their daughter so they can get to know you. Sounds like an interview to become an in-law to me. I know you are sufficiently charming to make them like you, but a bottle of sparkling cider for the mother and a good southern deep dish apple pie for the father will make it a sure bet. Love you, son. Your dad.